Well, hello everybody. It was amazing this morning what's transpired in the world right now. I am here today to break that news. UN Human Rights Council vote by the General Assembly, quick up front, votes in majority to remove Russia from said council. What does that mean, folks? Just a few years ago, another P5 quit the UN Human Rights Council, removing full P5 power from it, disabling it in any binding authority worldwide, none whatsoever, basically making that piece from the General Assembly impotent. Absolutely. Always a veto on the table. It gets more interesting here today, folks. There's only 4 then remaining P5 members. As of today, they voted, the whole General Assembly, upon resolution, remove Russia. Canada, pay attention. This is for every Canadian, every first person, including just in other breaking news, as I finally got the copy of the Anishinaabe people's new self-governance agreement with Canada, giving basically council status to the chiefs of those people. That's it in the province of Ontario. No land, no education, no health, no nothing. And in fact, just in the opening paragraphs, limiting all these powers to councillor, they then go on to say, oh, by the way, you agree that none of your laws can ever override the court we deem, which is the Superior Court of the province, or the federal government Supreme Court of Canada, because either way, it doesn't matter. It's going to go through the Governor General, which means Prime Minister decides arbitrarily and tells the courts how to rule if he doesn't like it, or she, or whomever you elect. So stripped of any real solid self-governance is a little bit of a path forward, sure. But here's the big problem. We're going to get into what happened today. We're getting back on track. I had to throw that in there. Ontario and what they just did there, and the councillors and the rest of Canada. 2 players in this world that are overriding the Arctic Council, Russia, USA, 2 P5 powers. I'm going to teach everybody a trick right now to know what's going on in international law. It's for all Canadians, all First Peoples. We've all heard the story of Santa Claus. Canada, yeah, Canadians, okay. Then there's St. Nicholas, even as many people can even understand that. What about Inuvik? Inuitia? What about that? Does that word ring a bell? I've never heard it before, but it's the history of Santa Claus for the Alaskan people. The history of Santa Claus for them. Totally different story. Common theme, it sends everybody to the North Pole. Santa's reindeer, St. Nicholas's sled, giving out presents to the poor. Russia story, America story, which is Alaska, with another story of the First Peoples. When you go to the North Pole, folks, you go way up in outer space in a satellite and you look down. And you look straight down, dead center of the North Pole. Do you know what you see? Do you know what you see? All the Indian lands of Canada entirely. All of the Treaty Indian front and center up to the Arctic peoples. Even more than that, from that center of equal proportion, you see the mass, which is Russia. Then over here to the corner, you see absolutely this chunk right up square personal called Alaska, United States of America. You can even see the curving nature of the United States. Then, of course, you see the curving nature of Russia below the line of Moscow, which clearly comes into focus. Even Edmonton, Alberta, where I hail from, clearly all a nice circle. You got Greenland there too, folks. Got some other little players, but when you look at the Arctic from every one of those participants' perspective, effective immediately today, the significance of Russia being kicked out and USA no longer on the Human Rights Council, there is only one last place to go for any peoples of the Arctic Ocean membership of any of those people, any of the first people, all of them, Russia, USA, because nobody on this earth, and I mean nobody, outside of Russia and USA, Canada, and other players can negotiate anything or operate anything without absolute consensus of both Russia and USA. If you don't believe me, go look up St. Nicholas, Santa Claus, and Anukiata. I believe that's how it's said. I'm probably way off. Never heard it before. I gotta go through it. But that is the Inuit people there, their story, their claim. Three powers, Canada, USA, Russia. Canada's not really much, but we share all the same people. We share one ocean. There's other members. You got little Norway and some others, but that's it, folks. Nothing happens when you clear into focus, when you look at all those lands. Nothing happens without absolute consensus of Russia and USA, who are now no longer in the Human Rights Council, and now officially two absolute opposing forces with a veto over the Human Rights Council. This is the weakest that non-binding organ's been. For the General Assembly neutered itself today, folks. Neutered itself. The world's not going to ever operate the way people think it is. And if you think it's just Russia, no, it's USA too. They went first. Nothing done today did anything but cement one action going forward in Canada, and that's Children's Day of Genocide, June 28th, 2022. It's going to be incredible. Stay tuned later today, folks. I'd love to give a lot more detail on this. I'd love to go through a lot of things, but that is for our narrative, and that's for the Chiefs, just to show them where we are now officially today after Russia's expulsion and where all the northern peoples. Again, I'm going to tell every Canadian, every first person, you can easily Google it, go map of the North Pole and all the Arctic members, Arctic Ocean members. There you will clearly see USA, Canada, Russia, some large margin, folks. I mean, Greenland's there. Hey, they get a respectable chunk, much the same as Alaska, but right there in it, right? Who's got the straight beeline to the North Pole? Wow, they all do. So, you know, it's people don't know. You need to know. You got to share it out there. Thank you. Verifiable, you can all do it right now. That's my video. Stay tuned later. Day 16, story 16. Malta, big one. Bye now.